My name's Jimmy Blair. I'm the performance coach for Charlotte FC's second team. This is my second year with the second team, but I started with Charlotte FC way back 4 years ago. First experience with Charlotte FC was my first role in them. I was back home in Scotland. I was running my own business, but I was previously out in the States. I came over here to go to college in 2016. I went up to a small Division 2 school to play soccer way back then. That's where I met my wife. We weren't sure what we were going to do, if she was going to come out and live in Scotland with me or I was going to come over to Charlotte and live with her. I was just looking at my bedroom window one day and I was just looking at the trench we're in, and I thought to myself, all right, I quite fancy America again, so here I am. Particularly, I worked with like individuals who played rugby in the private sector, but I've got some experience in professional rugby as well. Working as a performance coach in a second team, I wouldn't say I'm by myself, predominantly overseeing everything all loading on field, everything that's going on in the gym, and I'm also supporting with rehabs as well. But as of recently, we've hired some more sports science support, so they've been able to take on a bit more load with regards to GPS, post-training workflow, and supporting with a lot of testing and monitoring as well. We use Catapult GPS, we use Hawking Dynamics for our force plates, we use Vold for our force frame and Nordboard, we have the diary for motion capture. It's fairly an elaborate setup. VueMotion fitted into, that was me just trying to experiment a little bit. I recently done a mentorship with Speedworks, and a part of that mentorship was that you got basic subscription to VueMotion. I've always used cameras for assessing gait, but it's been pretty much along the lines of pausing the camera, pointing to a key frame and then analysing that, versus obviously VueMotion was allowing me to go that little bit deeper with regards to like contact times, stride lengths, etc. Just using like a regular iPhone, right? So of course, like when you're using VueMotion, it's easier to go that little bit deeper into the many nuances of like your acceleration and max velocity. And I think like when you're just using a regular iPhone and you're assessing gait, so let's say for instance, you're looking at a frame that has the athlete in the early phases like touchdown, very easy to show the athlete that they maybe don't have the best ability to switch based on the swing leg. So for instance, if that leg way behind the point of contact on the opposite foot, you can see that there's a delay in their swing leg. And then what you could show them from there is you could show them it toe off, and you could show them the height of the limb that's about to make contact. You can see that they don't have much space underneath the foot to really accelerate that limb downwards. VueMotion allowed us to do is to actually show us like the contact time that is being produced as a result of having a limited height in the swing leg. Back to what's so unique about VueMotion is that I can very easily point to a key frame to that athlete and say like, this was you 11 days ago, this is you currently. This is a sign that you're improving in this way, and that the exercises that we're doing is helping you develop an awareness around your movement strategy. Therefore, it is improving your outcome as it relates to speed. So these athletes, they want to know as much as possible, but I sometimes think what can happen is that we're collecting a lot of data and we're just pointing to a lot of numbers a lot of the time, versus my experience in using VueMotion has actually made it much more fun and engaging for the athlete. The athlete that I done the case study on, this athlete we struggled with, he had a hamstring injury and a re-injury, and we think a part of that was his excessive backside mechanics and poor pelvic positioning. So basically with these excessive backside mechanics, we could see that when the athlete made initial contact during touchdown, that there's a massive separation between the thighs in regards to the swing leg being so far behind that point of touchdown. And basically, as we looked at the leg that was going through contact to eventually toe off, we could literally show that there's a reasonably good push off there, but then we could see that that leg is initiated into swing. There was just a massive pull through, and we could just see that athlete is just wasting so much time, not producing more force and the switching was very poor. So the way that we could monitor his progress is by obviously showing him that key frame. So So the point of contact, the 7 days apart, 14 days apart, 21 days apart. And we could see that as we were kind of progressing through this rehab, that the separation between the thighs at the point of touchdown was getting closer and closer. And what we could also see is that the contact times were much quicker as well. And then what we could also see on top of that, the acceleration, the entry speeds of the actual 20-meter test itself were gradually improving as well. So by engaging that athlete through showing him that these are the key things that we're looking to change, and then talking him through the plan and the process and how we intend to achieve that, we were able to point what he's trying to improve and in the exercises that we're utilizing to make those changes. And he could see how they transferred already. That's a part of the reason as to why he was so engaged. Well, I think typically that was like we were expecting about 4 weeks, probably just shy of that, The reason that we place such an emphasis on his acceleration as well is like typically soccer players are doing way more accelerations inside the context of their sport than they would max velocities as well. So obviously like earlier on, we could get accelerations, right? The first thing we did 72 hours post, other than isometric strength testing, was we started having them do 10-meter sprints. You obviously don't gain too much speed during that distance, and aggressive enough stimulus to keep working on the areas which he wasn't so strong at. And then very quickly, once we'd built up resistance, built up robustness to his 10 meters, we quickly changed that to 5 sets of 20 meters. It was the mechanics during that 20 meters that we kind of targeted constantly through our exercise selection and training prescription. I think it's more so enforced how I've already believed about it by backing up with some evidence. People are getting these hamstring injuries because they're not prepared for the demands of the sport, and then like have that robustness to continue using the poor mechanics that they've been using as well. So we knew that if we prepare this athlete, if we change this athlete's movement mechanics, we'll still have to build more robustness using this new movement strategy as well. I can't say it's changed my mind on it, but just more so reinforced how I already felt with having some evidence there to kind of point at that's the change we've made and have the athlete adapt to that new way of moving. I mean, I think one of the key habits you have to build if you're going to be looking to change movement mechanics is like you have to have a camera there. It's like a lot of these guys are moving too quick for the eye to actually see. So I think to be in the habit of having your phone there, having a tripod set up, and even just like catching like the majority, even your movement prep. So even if you're doing something that builds up to a 20-meter acceleration, like perhaps videoing the build up to that point is valuable as well. And literally just assessing all movement, I think that can be really key. And then like the steps following that, it makes sense to like actually do something with the video you're actually collecting. So part of that is literally simply uploading that video into the VueMotion software and then giving it the 24 hours to process. And when you come in the next again day, start your analysis. I think what I would quite like to do is continue to use it in the rehab space because you give that individual attention to the player. What I would quite like to do is that he progresses through the rehab, the different stages of rehab, and we feel like they're at a certain point, we can start to analyse other aspects of their movement capabilities as well. So it wouldn't necessarily be just using the 0 to 20, perhaps like breaking down and looking at deceleration coming in from a certain distance, a variety of change of direction testing as well, just to take a closer look at those things as well, to again pinpoint useful exercises to help make those changes, gain buy-in from the athlete when it actually comes to using those exercises as well. I think that'd be huge. Process that we took place way back in October. Obviously we're into March now, and it's like when I'm watching this person move, I know that the results of the training process that he went through still exist in his movement, and I think that's another big thing as well. It's like when this athlete has returned to the sport, and even under state of fatigue when it's actually hard to maintain that awareness, he's still applying what we tried to apply way back then. As an athlete, it's like if you have bad mechanics and then you're obviously aiming to have improved mechanics, it's hard to undo that. You could be doing it up to like 16 years a lot of the time, and it's hard to make changes after that time. But I think if you're intentional and aware of your practice, you can gradually start to see the benefits of making slight tweaks in your movement strategies. I think that most people are going to be like, oh, if I'm seeing improvements based on these changes, it makes sense to try and hold on to them for as long as possible. So I think that's one of the things that they keep in the back of their mind as they return to the sport and aim to be healthy.